want there to be a need for a relationship. Only because you think you need a relationship. If you weren't raised with the idea that you need a relationship, you would also not have any romantic ideas about that. Or that the idea or the sense that that is something beautiful. I agree with that point of view, it is something beautiful. Nevertheless, it is a point of view. It's not the truth. Everything is beautiful, it's another point of view. Not the truth. You see what I'm getting at? The need for a relationship. Why? For a moment, without all the romantic ideas, what is it really? It's so illusory. It's such an agreement between two minds. Nevertheless, there is there can be a very beautiful energetical connection, or a resonance, or a gravitational pull that's there, whoop, in such a way that it locks into each other, that we call it a relationship. But that's just what we call it. It's all an agreement, which is beautiful. It's an energetical agreement. And some are conceptual agreements. Now, if we get rid of the conceptual agreements more and more, then we start to see the energetical agreement, which can still abide by some of the conceptual rules that we've made up in our society, or the ways that it expresses itself can still resemble that. But then it becomes freer, more beautiful, more palpable, more alive. Because your sense of aloneness is no longer dependent upon that. Your sense of loneliness. You're not necessarily lonely without the other person. The loneliness has the ability to make room for the aloneness, which is actually very beautiful. Loneliness too is that aloneness. It is very beautiful. So again, it's about the transcendent quality that includes all experiencing, that sets us free more and more. So see if you can really, as much as you want to fall in love or experience the love of somebody else, see if that same intensity, that same infatuation can be applied to your own presence. Because there's lots of things that are in common when you're, especially when you're first falling in love with somebody, as we call it the infatuation period or something. You don't care about anything else anymore. Like you drop all the projects you were passionate about. Like you've completely fallen in love with this being, and it's like, everything else goes out the window. So there's complete sort of losing yourself, right? There's complete surrender. And it's many similar qualities, the period of falling in love. You're not aware of yourself as much, you don't care if people think you're crazy, you're dancing in the supermarket or whatever. Normally you won't do that, because you think other people might think something. But you're so fulfilled because you're in love with the idea of the other person, which you can put in between brackets, the idea of the other person. Really, you're just in love. The idea of the other person may have been the trigger. Really, what you're enjoying so much is being in love. Not with anybody, just in love. You're being in love. Your body doesn't recognize anybody. Your emotional body doesn't recognize the other person. There's just in loveness. Can you have that infatuation toward yourself more and more? You can awaken that in yourself toward yourself more and more. So everything you desire out of a relationship, you can find in yourself. So then, usually that doesn't do it for people. Because, again, of the strength of the association with the other person, needing to be the source of our fulfillment. That romantic idea, which is beautiful, but it's just an idea. So, if I say you can experience anything that you desire from or within a relationship with another person, then why is that not sufficient for most people to go, alright, then I'm going to fall in love with myself right now. Why don't we do that? Why doesn't that happen immediately like that? So ask yourself, do you want the other person, or do you want the quality of the state of being you are in when you're in love? If you'd have to make a choice, which one would it be? If it's the other person, then by all means, through imagination, choose that. But then see that if you choose the other person, you cannot have, in this imaginative theme that we're exploring now, if you choose the person, so their physical appearance, the color of their skin, the way they blink their eyes, the things they say, but completely without the state of being in love, you'll have just a person. And then see if that's really what you want. And if you realize that that is 0% of what you wanted, and that the state of being was actually 100% of what you wanted, then the misassociation of the state of being with the other person has more of a chance of dropping away, which allows you to be more excited about the statement, anything you desire out of somebody else you can find within yourself. Suddenly it's like, yes, why? Because now you know that you don't actually want another person. Now you know where to look. Now you know what you really desire. Does that make sense? So ask yourself, this is such a powerful question with anything. What is it that I really want? What is it that I really want? Get to the core of that. Because the moment you get to the core of that, you've already really found it. If you get to the core of what you really desire, that's the place where you immediately find what you really want. Once you find your truest desire, and don't stop. Don't go like, oh yeah, but I want this. But why? Because I want this. But why? Because then that. But why do you want that? Da, da, da. Get to the core of, okay, what is it that I really desire? Why am I really here? Find that quality, and it will always be a quality. It will never be a thing or object or circumstance or project or result or achievement. It will always be a quality. The final answer to what do I truly desire will be a quality, a particular frequency of consciousness that you wish to immediately, directly, and completely experience. If you get to the answer of it, you're already starting to pluck the strings of that frequency. The moment you hit the point of, that's what I want, you're already playing that frequency. You're already becoming it. Does that make sense? So ask yourself, what do you really desire? Don't be fooled by your mind's associations, which are many, 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 many. So got to the core of it, and at the core of it, you'll find both your question and your question answered. Thanks, guys.